Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and we have to talk about the ending and post-credit scene of Captain America: Brave New World. Spoilers ahead! I will be explaining the full plot and the final battle of this movie because I need to explain how we get to the setup of the post-credit scene and how that sets up the future Marvel titles like Fantastic Four: First Steps and Avengers Doomsday. And to do that, I'm just gonna have to discuss everything that happens in this movie. I know it's still early, but this video is only for people who have seen Captain America: Brave New World. Go see the movie on the biggest screen that you can to make sure, A, that you can smell Red Hulk's lollipop flavored breath, and B, so it's not me who spoils you, and then come back here. Great, awesome. And a quick reminder that you can now join New Rockstars as a channel member by hitting that join button down by subscribe. Supporting us as a member gives you access to custom emotes and early access to ad-free versions of our biggest videos, like this Friday's Easter egg breakdown of Captain America: Brave New World. If you want to watch that video early and without any ads on it, hit that join button, please and thank you. Okay, the post-credit scene of Captain America: Brave New World features Sam Wilson meeting Samuel Stearns, the leader, imprisoned on the raft, and Stearns hints at a coming incursion with other realities in the multiverse coming in Avengers Doomsday that he has been able to mentally calculate the statistical certainty of. It's just one scene, no other cameos, no obscure Marvel glove shitos mentioned. So two things we have to say here. One, there is something else in the background of the raft that I don't think anyone else has caught, and I will get to that in a bit. And two, while you could say that's a bit of a nothing burger compared to other more memorable MCU post-credit scenes like Nick Fury inviting Tony Stark to the Avengers or Thanos is fine, I'll do it myself. Now in Marvel's post-Endgame era, if it's between this and like a cameo by someone we're not sure if we're ever gonna see again, or a real big swing showing something that'll ultimately never pay off due to franchise retooling, I would much rather prefer something like this. So let's recap what happens in Captain America: Brave New World. And another spoiler warning, if you just want to skip to the final battle, skip to the next chapter. Okay, Thaddeus Ross gets elected US president, promising to lead America forward from past crises like the blip and the emergence together. But he has to take mysterious heart pills, and Samuel Stearns remains active in a basement lab at Camp Echo 1. 5 months after this, we are now 2 years after the events of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Captain America Sam Wilson and Falcon Joaquin Torres foil the Serpent Society, led by Sidewinder Seth Volker, at a Catholic mission in Mexico, and they retrieve a canister of stolen adamantium that came from a Japanese refinery. Seth Volker escapes, and Sam and Joaquin train with Isaiah Bradley, and the three of them attend President Ross's White House summit to get Japan, India, France to join the United States in a treaty to share the adamantium that was discovered on Celestial Island, referring to the big old corpse from Marvel's Eternals. Ross also tells Sam that he wants him to rebuild the Avengers. Isaiah and other armed personnel are activated by a flashing light on their phones and an audio cue of the Fleetwood's 1959 song Mr. Blue, a reference to Samuel Stearns' codename in the 2008 Incredible Hulk film. Isaiah overpowers Secret Service and shoots at Ross. Sam, Joaquin, and security advisor Ruth Bat-Saraf, a former Black Widow agent, take down the brainwashed assassins. Isaiah runs but gets arrested. Sam argues with President Ross to let him investigate what happened here, but Ross shuts him out. Sam gets ambushed by Seth Volker and is able to take him down. Ross flies to Tokyo to try to secure the treaty, but the Japanese Prime Minister steps away after receiving leaked CIA intel that we later found was leaked to him by Samuel Stearns. Sam and Joaquin visit Camp Echo 1, that's the satellite base in West Virginia, where they find the lab of Samuel Stearns, and Stearns returns from the 2008 film with an enlarged but particularly lumpy head, as if his brain has burst out of his skull. He says that Ross kept him here for years, as Stearns was the one developing all the weaponry and the tech and the political strategy that Ross used to get ahead, using Stearns' enhanced intelligence and predictive abilities to guide Ross's political career, under the promise that Stearns would be one day pardoned and released once Ross became president. That never happened. So now Stearns is getting revenge on Ross with brainwashed military personnel to sabotage Ross's international dealings and incite a global war, and another ace of hearts in the hole that we'll find out later. Stearns escapes after sticking some brainwashed soldiers on Sam and Joaquin. Ruth arrives to help them escape too, but Sam and Joaquin learn from Seth Volker more about Stearns' connection to President Ross, and they task their Navy SEAL friends to analyze the pills that Ross was taking. President Ross, meanwhile, decides to send a US carrier group to Celestial Island to intercept Japanese forces that are headed there, and he decides, I'm gonna go too. Sam, Joaquin, and Ruth meet him on the carrier, where Ross reveals to Sam that his heart was failing in the past and he was dying, and Samuel Stearns gave him these specific pills to keep him alive. Sam and Joaquin have to gear up to qualm the aerial dogfight overhead with 2 brainwashed American pilots and a group of Japanese pilots. Stearns, meanwhile, calls Ross and tries to talk him into Red Hulking out, but he fails. Joaquin gets hit by an exploding missile and falls in the water. Sam is able to bring these brainwashed pilots down and keep the world away from World War III for now. While Joaquin recovers at Walter Reed Hospital, Sam meets with Bucky Barnes, who's running for Congress. The SEAL team realizes that Ross's pills are gamma irradiated, and Stearns stops at poor Navy SEAL's heart with a frequency device. So Samuel Stearns turns himself in, but his plan is already in place. To use the gamma radiation he's been poisoning Thaddeus Ross with over the years through heart medication to trigger Ross into Red Hulk and destroy the president's reputation. President Ross talks to press in the Rose Garden. Stearns plays the audio recording of their phone call over the loudspeakers, and as Secret Service pulls Ross away from the reporters, his anger takes over and he turns into the Red Hulk. Sam arrives to confront him, and their battle crashes through the White House, the National Mall, onto a cherry blossom lined street. Red Hulk radiates heat, but Sam notices that his skin is not invulnerable to cuts and stabs like regular Hulk's skin is. So while Red Hulk nearly kills Sam and rips off one of his wings, Sam is able to stab him in the gut with his remaining wing. And while that alone doesn't stop Red Hulk, it does give Sam enough of a window to talk Ross down, and then remembering a time with his daughter, a cherry blossom petal lands on his hand, and it's kind of like a sun's getting real low moment for this Hulk, and that causes him to revert to human form. President Ross is taken to the raft, and Sam visits to tell him Japan ended up ratifying the Adamantium Treaty. By the way, nothing further is established about Adamantium's application in this movie, only a newscaster saying society is entering a brave new world of adamantium, but we learn that Ross resigned and accepted his sentence, and that, we should note, does leave the current president a mystery. We never learn who the vice president was, and perhaps we now have a political vacuum that New York City Mayor Wilson Fisk could be aiming for. Betty Ross visits, and Liv Tyler cameos here. We learn that Isaiah is released, and Sam visits Joaquin in recovery. Both men exchange profound statements about the pressure of never making any mistakes because they would feel like they're letting down everyone else who was fighting for a seat at that table. But the two men laugh over Joaquin asking the Wakandans for a new suit. Okay, onto the film's one post-credit scene that does not roll in the middle of the credits, but rather at the very end. Sam returns to the Raft prison, where in a cell sits Samuel Stearns in the same blue jumpsuit worn by Raft inmates like Sam Wilson himself when he sided with Team Cap in Captain America Civil War. These two men talk. Sam says, "I told you were gonna lose that bet." Stearns says, "You know what's funny?" And Sam says, "I'm not in the mood for jokes. You killed a lot of good men trying to get your revenge. We don't share the same sense of humor." And Stearns says, "We share the same world, don't we? This world you would die to save? It's coming. I've seen it in the probabilities, plain as day. All you heroes protecting this world. You think you're the only ones? You think this is the only world? We'll see what happens when you have to protect this place from the others." And then we cut back to Sam, and then we cut to black. Captain America Brave New World is such a fun, paranoid political thriller. It does a great job of showing how information can be weaponized and how having full context can help protect you from being manipulated. That's what's so great about Straight Arrow News. They give you full context so you can get a more complete picture from the news you read. Straight Arrow News is a free app and website, so you don't need to deal with the paywall to get your news, which is good. News should be free. Their reporting is unbiased, highlighting both left and right-leaning stories and delivering reliable, factual news coverage on events across all sides of the aisle for a full picture of today's news. They've got an awesome media mist tool that helps surface stories that go underreported or don't get enough love from the algorithm to be at the top of your feed, because news can be important without being buzzy or clickbaity, and Straight Arrow News gets that. Visit san.com/new rockstars to check it out for yourself. You can head over by clicking on the link in the description or download the app by searching Straight Arrow News. When you download, you not only support New Rockstars, you're also supporting a free news platform created by a group of journalists that are on a mission to raise the bar in the media and hone in on serving you the truth. So obviously, Samuel Stearns is referring to the upcoming crossover event of Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, the multiverse war, where different universes will collide in an incursion, and the heroes of each universe will have to fight each other. We are currently in the MCU's 616 universe, and the Avengers of this universe are probably gonna have to fight the Avengers and other Marvel heroes from other universes, including the Fantastic Four of the alternate 1963 Manhattan and Fantastic Four First Steps, the X-Men of Universe 1005, that's the universe Deadpool and Wolverine ended up in at the very end of that movie. We don't know the full status of the other X-Men in the present day of 2024 at the end of that movie, only that that universe was, at that point, headed to a future that resembled the events of the 2017 Logan film, where Logan and most of the other X-Men were dead, but we don't know if that fate was averted. But for all we know, the other Fox-era X-Men could be alive and well at this point in the universe, looking like they did at the end of X-Men Days of Future Past. Also, another group of X-Men from the universe at the end of the Marvels, where Monica Rambeau and Maria Rambeau Binary and Beast, and at least an off-screen Charles Xavier live. That might also be 1005 5, but we don't yet know for sure. Also, potentially the 838 universe from Multiverse of Madness, in which the Illuminati are all dead, but there remains a living Wanda Maximoff, a surviving Susan Storm and her kids Franklin and Valeria, and maybe some other X-Men. And potentially also the universes of other Spider-Men, like Tobey Maguire Peter Parker's universe and Andrew Garfield Peter Parker's universe. And all of these universes will be pitted against each other by Dr. Doom, played by Robert Downey Jr., his origin universe unknown. But we do have a sense that they will be adapting Jonathan Hickman's Time Runs Out and Secret Wars crossover event from 2015, based off of a cameo of Secret Wars number 5 on the ground of the Void in Deadpool and Wolverine. For Samuel Stearns to see all of this coming, really just from some mental calculations, is a testament to his enhanced thinking ability. You might actually be reminded of Doctor Strange in Avengers Infinity War when he used the Time Stone to look ahead to 14,605 future outcomes. Samuel Stearns can do that just with his imagination. And supposedly he has done all the head math that Reed Richards is doing on that chalkboard in the First Steps trailer. And from that, Stearns has concluded that the multiverse isn't just confirmed to exist, but that due to any one scientist's discovery of the multiverse and natural laws like survival of the fittest, each universe is destined to compete for supremacy. Stearns might have concluded this from observing the same anomalies that the rest of the MCU has seen, like, purple rifts around the Statue of Liberty in Spider-Man No Way Home, for example. There's also the possibility that Stearns was aware of Kang the Conqueror. Why do I think that? Well, Stearns is referred to throughout this film as the Buyer, and I was reminded of Sonny Birch's off-screen mystery Buyer seeking quantum technology in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and how we never learned who that was. Is Samuel Stearns was implied in this movie to be active in the background of the MCU since 2011 in the in-universe timeline, since the beginning, inventing technology for the US government, with eyes and ears everywhere, playing the long gamma game with future US presidents? Doesn't it also make sense that he might be the same Buyer seeking quantum tech and access to the quantum realm, where Kang the Conqueror had been exiled during all that time as well? Whether or not Stearns was the Buyer of that movie, I just feel like He Who Remains' big speech in Loki about the last multiversal war, starting with two scientists from neighboring universes meeting each other, sharing resources, and then trying to best each other until war inevitably broke out, that is a natural progression that Samuel Stearns has already gamed out. I feel like they tried to characterize Tim Blake Nelson's version of the leader with this kind of statistical dialogue to best pay homage to the Hulk villain, the leader of the intelligentsia, as he is in the comics. And it never really came to the surface of this movie, but they expected it to hit hard in this moment. So when Sam Wilson returns in Avengers Doomsday, he will be leading a group of 616 Avengers, including Falcon, Doctor Strange, Bruce Banner, Shang-Chi, Captain Marvel, Thor, Rhodey, Ant-Man, and Spider-Man, whoever that is. I mean, I thought I knew who he was until like a mysterious memory wipe hit me. And these Avengers will meet the Thunderbolts, as well as the Fantastic Four from First Steps, and other alternate universe heroes like alternate universe X-Men, and maybe even alternate universe MCU heroes played with swapped actors, like Chris Evans returning as some think an alternate Captain America, maybe a new T'Challa. Avengers Doomsday is confirmed to begin shooting in London in late March, with a release in May 2026, so we will likely see a trailer for it later this year. In a recent interview with Esquire, Anthony Mackie hinted at where things will go from Brave New World to Doomsday. He said, "What you don't want is Infinity War and Endgame 2.0. And speaking of the directors, he adds, "The Russos, they're so smart and they have such a hold on this universe and the history of the comic books that I know they have an idea." I mean, they better have an idea. I don't know how you put all those people on screen together and make it work. And then they talked to Anthony Russo, co-director of Avengers Doomsday, saying that he does indeed have an idea, at least as far as Mackie's Captain America is concerned. Quote, "He represents a unique space in the Avengers spectrum, and that's the greatest thing, because sooner or later the collective storytelling is going to be in that space he occupies." So I'll leave you with the one detail that I teased before. Who else is imprisoned on the raft right now? Former President Ross is there, obviously. In the post-credit scene, we don't see anyone else in the neighboring cells besides Stearns, but if you look closely in the background of the scene with Thaddeus Ross, you can see another prisoner turning the page of a book. And I'm almost certain this is Helmut Zemo, Daniel Bruhl's character from Civil War and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, who was last seen in the final episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, sitting in a cell back on the raft, reading from his book collection. I loved spotting this cameo. Marvel Studios has also clarified that the events of the Netflix Daredevil seasons are MCU canon, potentially also Luke Cage, based on a Harlem's Paradise billboard that we spotted in the Daredevil Born Again trailer. So if Marvel Studios makes all of Luke Cage and all of Jessica Jones canon as well, other occupants of the raft from those series include Luke Cage's half-brother Willis Stryker, aka Diamondback from Luke Cage season 1, and Jessica Jones' frenemy Trish Walker, aka Hellcat from the later seasons of that show. So we can just imagine some fun episodes of Trish Talk behind bars featuring Stats Chat with Mr. Blue, and for Mr. Red, you know what really grinds my gears? Creators Corner. Comment down below with your thoughts. And again, our in-depth Easter egg breakdown is coming to the channel tomorrow. And you can get an ad-free version of that by supporting us, by joining the channel as a member. Also, you can grab some great nerdy gift options from our merch store, nerdriot.shop, like this awesome Captain America 4 Wingspan inspired shirt. That is like my new favorite shirt. It just makes me look and feel cool. Follow me at EA Voss and subscribe to all the channels in the new Rockstars network for in-depth coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.